on. So
Ooh, there we go.
here we go. Good what it's at 20. Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Faces for Autism Streaming with Love telethon. I'm Jacob Hackett. I just finished up my 6 o'clock hour. Thank you, Tommy C. You're hearing from, I actually don't know who you're hearing from at 7, but I will be back at 8 with Miss Outstanding Team. Isabel Freund is my co-host for 8 o'clock. Anyway, my next guest this evening is occupational therapist at Atlantic County Special Services. He's here today to tell us what type of challenges OT had during the pandemic, what inspired his love for OT, and a whole lot more. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Kevin Curran.
All right. Hi. So I have to apologize. The dogs at my house again are going crazy. I feel like we have really good timing because the last time we did a video message, there you go. You can hear them. The last time we did a video call and conference, they were going crazy. So over here.
Where are you? Because last time we did it, I think you were in your kitchen.
I'm still in the kitchen. Just the only thing changed that I got new curtains on. So
okay. Kev, first question is, as I said in the open, what inspired your love for OT?
What inspired me to get into OT?
Yeah.
Huh. So where do I even begin with that? Because I did have quite a long road to get to working at Atlantic County. So I want to say it probably started over 5 years ago, where I was after school, after I was an undergraduate at college, I was a major in speech language pathology, and very similar field, another related service that I work closely with. And I was trying to navigate where I kind of saw myself professionally. And after I graduated in 2013, I was trying to figure out if the speech was the right fit for me. I love the work I was doing with the kids, with the adults, but the work itself was just a little bit different. And I was looking for something maybe a little bit more active. And that took me to coming back home to see what my options were. And one of those options that was presented to me was OT. And funny enough, one of my first experiences with OT was in a school. And when I did my first kind of, they call it, shadowing or observation hours, when I was doing my first observation, I saw what was being done, the way the kids interacted with was being worked on, how the kids enjoyed coming to OT, and just the kind of the work that was being done just really caught my interest. And that just started the ball rolling. From there on out, I was doing everything I could as far as taking classes to put myself in a good position for grad school placement. And then it just kind of, just took off. And I feel like the last, since that point to where I got hired at school at Atlantic County, just developed into just a super motivating time to get to work. As you probably know, you kind of just get to a point where you can't just wait to get your hands on something. You're doing a presentation next week, and you probably did we were talking about all the prep work that had to get done, and you get to a point where you just want to start doing it, right? You're having all these meetings, all these phone calls, make sure everything's right. And you just kind of want to get there. And that's where luckily I settled locally where I'm around from the area. So it all worked out really, really nicely. And I'm very, very happy there.
Yeah. And you want to feel comfortable because, as we've said, different people that you've heard from all night long, you want to feel comfortable because ultimately you're looking at the next 25 to 30 years of your life. And if you're not comfortable, then it's more difficult
Mhm.
to change career paths and go, oh no, this isn't right for me. What do I do?
And that's kind of the hard part about kind of navigating where you land. And I'll be honest, I didn't really know if being in a school system was that was never really when I was going through grad school, never really on the radar, to be honest, of being placed in school. But it's funny how you end up where you are because I love working with the kids. I love working with all, the various populations that are at school, interacting with the parents, and seeing the progress that some of these kids are making. As you know, at school we have kids as young as 3 years old, 4 years old, and up until when I see them when they age out at 21. So it's nice, especially now this being my third year there, even seeing the short progress in those 3 years and seeing these kids kind of start going from elementary school to middle school, then to high school, and then they're becoming adults. It's a really nice progression. Um, but yeah, another reason why I also loved OT was because it's so versatile and it's kind of all over the place. I've had placements at pediatric outpatient center. I've had a placement at a Nova Care facility, which specializes in hand therapy. I've been at Bacharach, which is local around here, which is acute rehab. Um, I've had experiences at a skilled nursing facility with more geriatric populations. And that's all was set up to experience them to find what your area is and what you really like. And I think once I found, the school system and made my way there and got more comfortable with just the day-to-day logistics and then focused on the OT work, it's incredibly rewarding.
Yeah, and and as I've said, you best, and you
Mhm.
know what suits what suits you, what's best for you, and I've known you almost 3 years now.
Mhm.
Crazy how fast time is flying.
Yep.
And you know, we got along well. Now we're very good friends on the other side now that I'm graduating. But relationships like that are still there.
Mhm.
God for if I ever need anything from anybody or any of your post students, you know, you're you're easily accessible to
Right.
others, and that's key too for, say, a geriatric patient.
Yeah, and what's nice about working in school too is that you're familiar with everyone. You know all the students. Even though you might be treating, two or three in a particular classroom, you are familiar with and know very well all the students that you're not treating as well. And those relationships are nice because then go into work and you're not just there to see those 8 or 9 or 10 kids that day and then go home. You're having several interactions with a lot of different kids, and they value that too, and it makes it a really fun environment to be part of.
Yeah, and as I just said, you want to have fun while you're working. Um, Tell the viewers, I'm assuming this has not changed. Your age group is still high school.
Yeah, so primarily I am the high school occupational therapist. So mostly ages from about 15 or 16 till 21. Um, Now I do have several students who are in the elementary and middle school. Um, but my majority of my caseload, I would say 75% of my caseload is in the high school. You're
Oh,
right.
so that hasn't changed.
Has not changed. Nope, no, not changed.
Yep. So we talked about what inspired you. Oh, daily, give viewers a sense of daily see, this is a shame we couldn't do this in the room. Give viewers a sense of daily activities, what your day looks like.
Sure. So I'll give you like a, pretty general depiction of what I guess a day in the life of an OT at school would look like. So I get to work, a little bit earlier than the students do, just to kind of prepare any materials and activities for the day. Because transitioning between the sessions with the students, we only have a handful of minutes, and you take into account, walking to the classrooms, getting some of the students, transporting them to and from. You want to maximize your time for therapy. In our classroom. So, I'd spend some time, a decent amount of time preparing. That definitely starts at around, I would say, around 8 o'clock. Students get to the school around 8:50 or so. And we're all out there, as you know, helping, get some of the kids off the bus, welcoming them to the school, making sure they're safe and ready for the day in their classroom. From there, you see anywhere between, I think we have 7 or 8 treating slots. I could be wrong, but off the top of my head, where you fit in small groups, large groups, classroom groups, or individual sessions. So you work closely to collaborate with the teachers and even other related services to make sure that there's no conflicts, or whatever, whichever part of the day the kid prefers, or the student or the teacher prefers, to basically just maximize the time and the effort from the student in that particular time. So for example, if I know that a kid may be a little bit more active, or ready in the afternoon, I'll try to schedule them after lunchtime when they have a little bit more energy than, say, first off the bus at 9:20. So I see roughly between, I want to say 4, and it depends on if it's a classroom group or not. 4 to 8 students in the morning. Now, again, I could see 2 individual students and a classroom group, which would account for, say, 7 students. So it sounds like a lot, but it's still a half-hour time period for those students in a classroom. Then obviously, we help in the lunch for anyone who needs extra support, and make sure everyone's doing okay getting their lunch, from the cafeteria line, getting them set up if they need to, prepare the food at all, and make sure that everything's okay. Then from there, the afternoon is kind of similar to the morning, where you have 2 or 3 slots that can be filled up with individual or group sessions. And then at the end of the day, you wrap it up with some documentation, some more prep work for the next day if you can, and making sure that everything's set to go to close out that day and begin again the following day. And then we help with bus duty at the end around 3 o'clock, and then as the students leave. So it's a pretty full day, I mean, it very well. We are running around a lot to make sure to find, where the classrooms are and see what's going on there, and making sure that we're ready to go. But it's good because it keeps it busy and it keeps the day moving.
So as you were talking, I was doing math in my head. Who knows if it was right? If I did my math right, you see between 35 and 40 kids a week.
Yeah, that's actually extremely spot on. Very good. Yeah, you get an A+ in math for today, Jacob. Yeah, and it typically, you typically would have, around between 30 I would say 40 would be would be maximum. That would be on the higher end of it. But again, when you take into consideration, for example, I see one classroom group where there's students who get direct services from OT. There's students who get, indirect services, and then there's students who don't get services, but they are still part of the group. So that might be 8 people, which, it sounds like a lot for a half hour, but it's very organized, and with all the support that's around. But yeah, I would say closer to, mid 30s, anywhere in there, is more of a safe bet, I'd say.
Yeah, and I'll get into this in literally seconds. But that's the day in the life of you every day. That's gotta be, and then by the end of the day, you're probably exhausted. I know I would be.
I definitely actually was just saying that I got to get new shoes because by 3 o'clock, your feet are definitely hurting with all the steps that you're taking throughout the day. And if you don't have the right footwear, it can catch up to you. But yeah, you're busy, but it's also a good busy because, it's for, a positive purpose. And it also makes the day go by quick. I feel like some days I kind of blink and it's already, say, like 1 o'clock, and I'm like, okay, I got like 2 more sessions to go, and then we move on to the next day.
Differences, I'm gonna talk into this now. Differences in, say, what would you do with a kid versus what would you do with a geriatric, or is it the same?
Um, well, I mean, as you know, in our school, we have a lot of different
Yeah,
populations.
I know that, but I mean,
I would say,
because you did Betty Bacharach.
yeah, and that, well, yeah, so that would be a good example if we want to try to compare. So that would be very much more. So it's different between academic occupational therapy and, say, rehabilitative occupational therapy, where at BACRAC we might only have some of these patients for 3 days, 5 days, 2 weeks, whatever it may be, where we try to get them back on their feet from whatever injury or ailment that they might have had or suffered, so that they can safely go back home and be back on their feet and be as independent as possible. Now, the same concept applies to the school, where we're focusing on independence, and that's the name of the game with, not only OT but also speech and PTs, try to maximize a student's independence, but we cater more towards their independence in a classroom. So what's important for them to function independently in that classroom may be handwriting skills or fine motor skills, or you're familiar with some of the vocational responsibilities in the high school. Are they able to participate and successfully complete those responsibilities and duties? And then you have some of the younger kids where you're working a lot on the fine motor and just the more the scissor skills, or and what's nice is the big difference too is that you can have a lot of fun with it. As you know, with our sessions that we've had in the past, you almost don't even feel like you're in a therapy session because we have a lot of fun while we do it, and that's what's great about OT, is that you can kind of mask the therapy behind the activities with the activity itself. And that's what's nice, because you can always, adapt and change and evolve an activity on the fly based on that day's presentation. So it is similar. You're right. I mean, there's similarities across the board with OT, because the primary focus is independence and making sure that someone is functioning to the best of their ability. The only major difference is that you're catering more towards students in a school and not, in a rehabilitative place where you're kind of letting them go out to do whatever they want to do.
Right, without limitations, etc. I've asked everybody this because you've all faced it. Challenge and it's more geared towards you guys. Challenges during COVID. Give the viewers, what are some of your challenges during COVID? I know we talked last year, the masking, what were some of the other ones you told me? The masks, because you can't read lips.
Yeah, virtual learning.
Virtual at the time, yeah.
Obvious limitations.
This year,
Well, yeah, I mean, like now, since the last time we talked, even um, the world at school is even changed. So, we're not so heavily reliant on virtual means, Zoom or Google Meets, or whatever it may be, which is nice. It's great having the kids back in school. That was, number one goal, just to get everyone back in school, and kind of reassess, see what happened. Um, Challenges that are happening, maybe day to
because
day.
of COVID.
Yeah, because of COVID. I mean, it's still relevant, right? So, you never know when another quarantine is going to occur, whether that's for you as a therapist or for the students that um, you're servicing. So, for example, if I go into a classroom to try to work with a student, and then I find out that they're on quarantine because they've either had a close contact or they did test positive for COVID, we have to really be on our toes to adapt and provide virtual learning for that student so that they can continue to get their service for that brief quarantine time. So that's definitely a challenge now because you never really know what to expect. The unpredictability of it is still very much there. Um, but you just kind of roll with it. Everyone's still navigating it in real time together. So what's been nice is that everyone's been very accommodating and flexible to make something work. So if a student is on quarantine, what I do is I just would set up a Google Meet or Zoom during that treatment time, and then they would log in during that treatment time. And unfortunately, they wouldn't have any materials that I'd send home because it's so short and it's so sudden. But we make it work, and that's another part about OT. There's OT things around the house that you can work with, whatever it may be. I have a pen here. I can pick up a piece of paper and we can work on some writing together. I've worked on, what's nice is that we've worked on typing, on a keyboard. Very relevant, very functional for students, where I'm kind of working with them to make sure that they can type, find the letters, identify the letters, the sounds of the letters, what the words come with the letters. So it's a challenge, but also we're like almost, 2 years into this. You kind of know how to better adapt for these sudden changes. So it is a challenge, but also something that we're learning how to work with on the fly.
And it's good because I don't foresee, as much as I hate saying this coming out of my mouth, I almost feel like I have to say it because, COVID, might I be biting my tongue as this is coming out of my mouth? I would love to say that COVID is on its way out, but
Oh, you said it. You said it. I knew you were going to say it. I didn't want you to say it, but you said it.
yeah,
And this is
I'm like biting my tongue as it's
and this is recorded, so we know who to blame when it does.
yeah, if you want to stop watching this telethon, you can blame me right now. I can't help it. Anyway, let's try and regain composure here. Last question. If you could give any advice, because I know there are a lot of OT students probably watching this. I know we have masters MSOTs from Stockton probably watching this. If you could give them any form of advice, what would it be? And
What would my advice be? Well, they're already in OT school, so they're already in the right place in my mind. Um, and they're pursuing a profession that's very rewarding. Can you just give me a second? Um, it's already very rewarding. So I guess my advice would probably be like, don't be afraid to be be as creative as you want to be, right? Like I was just talking about how our sessions can kind of mask the therapy side of OT with the activity itself. And that's what's so awesome about OT is that because it's everywhere, you can turn anything into therapy. Um, it can be it's anywhere around us. We can work on um, a pen, and I can work on you hitting the pen and opening it and closing it and making sure it's there. Um, we can I have a bowl and a spoon. We can work on some scooping, very functional ADL based. So really stepping out of your comfort zone to be as creative as you can, to make it so enjoyable for the population that you're treating. And also, another bit of advice probably just to make sure that you're working with that student, that patient, that individual at their level, right? So just because we're therapists doesn't mean we're wearing white coats and we're telling them what to do, and we're making sure that they're trying to make progress here, here, and here. You got to be very flexible and meet them at their level. So some of the kids that I work with that are younger, get on the floor with them, play around a little bit, get something that excites them and get them on their level. Because if you're always up tall and over top of them, they might not enjoy coming to see you with therapy all the time. So definitely understand that rapport and that clinical observation of who you're working with, what interests them, talk to them, find out what they really enjoy, and then go with it and run with it and make them feel comfortable around you so that you can get the most out of them in your sessions.
Yeah, it's like what did they say when we were in English? Who, what, the three W's. Who, what, where, why, how. Yeah, something like that. Um. Anyway,
Your strong suit's in math. You already proved that.
I already proved my math test today. Friends, I don't want to bite my tongue again. Please donate. Faces, they need your support. We've done an excellent job in the 20 years of Faces to make sure that our families have the supports, have the activities, have the family fun days in the summer at the Ocean City Boardwalk, have every possible resource they need, is all because of you and your donations. Please donate. There's a right where Kevin's screen is, there's a donation link down the bottom. It gives you access to Venmo. Our stuff is on social media. Please donate. We need your support. Thank you.
Great job, Jacob.
And